Hey everybody, it's Carma Connor-Marroquin, and I'm going to talk today a little bit about the Ready Reserve Corps of the U.S. Public Health Service. I recently did an interview with one of the commanders of the Ready Reserve, and she made me aware of this new resource document that covers a lot of Q&As about the Ready Reserve Corps. And so I wanted to go over that resource document with you today. So in the Ready Reserve Corps, there are some things that differ from the requirements for active duty service. And the first is the age requirement. So the question is, what is the age requirement to commission into the U.S. Public Health Service Ready Reserve Corps? And applicants cannot exceed 40 years of age, whereas for active duty it's 44. For the reserve side it is 40 years. And the reason for that is that the reservist has to be able to complete 20 years of credible service towards retirement by the age of 60. So that is determined by law, and so that's why there's a difference. Is there a possibility for a waiver? Yes, but again, you'd have to apply for that. Age waivers come from the Surgeon General and are based on the needs of the service. Regarding professional credentials and licensing, the question is, can applicants apply with a provisional license? And no, they must have an unrestricted license, and so that is the same requirement for active duty applicants as well. As for medical factors, what are the disqualifying chronic illnesses? And it's a fairly comprehensive listing, and there is a policy for that. So the link for that policy is within this document here. And another question related to VA disability rating. If an applicant has already a disability rating from the Veterans Affairs, can they apply to the U.S. Public Health Service Commission Corps? And the answer is yes, but they have to meet medical exception requirements or standards, and also in order to accept a commission in the U.S. Public Health Service Ready Reserve, they will need to forfeit any disability pay that they are receiving from the VA. I think it can be started up later at a later time, but in order to be called to service, you have to forfeit that disability pay. Other legal considerations: if I have a felony charge, will that make me ineligible? Well, their answer is that all applicants are required to undergo a security clearance screening process during the application and must receive a favorable adjudication. So there's really not a firm answer on the specific question, but other things like financial irresponsibility, potential drug use or abuse, those are the types of things that can disqualify with a security clearance, as well as potentially a felony charge. So it may make you ineligible, is the answer. Dress in uniform, is religious headdress acceptable? And the answer is yes, if the officer applies for that religious accommodation and the wear of that religious headdress does not interfere with the wear of the prescribed uniform cover or hat. All right, service obligations. What is a service obligation for members of the Public Health Service Ready Reserve Corps? Upon an individual's initial appointment to the selected reserve component, officers must agree to remain in the selected reserve for a minimum of 6 years. If they complete 2 years of service and decide the Ready Reserve Corps is not a good fit for them, can they separate? Well, reserve officers must complete full 6 years of service, so there is a 6-year service requirement. Now, I believe you can go back and forth whether you're reserve or active duty and still fulfill that 6 years. So it's possible to serve that 6 years in different aspects, whether it's reserve or active duty, but still there is a 6-year requirement. What are the main components of the Ready Reserve Corps? There are 3 main parts. There's a selected Ready Reserve, there's an individual Ready Reserve, and then there's a retired reserve. So the selected Ready Reserve It consists of officers who are required to train for a minimum of at least 15 days active duty per year, and then 4 drill periods per month or equivalent. So these officers must be prepared for active duty mobilization within 24 hours to respond to urgent or emergency public health care needs, which may be voluntary or involuntary calls to active duty. That, again, is the selected Ready Reserve. Whereas the individual Ready Reserve, this consists of officers who have had military or other U.S. Public Health Service Commissioned Corps training, and these officers are not required to participate in training or other public health or U.S. Public Health Service Commissioned Corps activities. However, they are subject to involuntary recall to active duty under certain circumstances. And they have the individual Ready Reserves subdivided into active and standby. For the active Ready Reserve, these members have been assigned to an individual augmentation duty position, whereas the standby members, they're an additional mobilization resource for the Public Health Service Commissioned Corps if there are not enough qualified members of the selected Ready Reserve or the active Ready Reserve, if that makes sense. And then there's the Retired Reserve. Members who accumulate 20 or more years of qualifying service are eligible for reserve retirement, also known as non-regular retirement, when they reach age 60. So what are the training requirements? There are annual training requirements, and this is for the Select Reserve. They're required to perform 48 paid inactive duty training drills, typically in 12 weekends, and then 15 paid active duty training days per year. And they have drill schedules that are published for the entire year. Is there initial training for Ready Reserve Corps officers? Yes. They attend the Officer Basic course, which is a 2-week training that's held in Maryland for new officers. So the reserve officers also attend at the same time, sometimes as active duty folks. But for the most part, since COVID, the officer basic courses are being held virtually, and it is a 2-week training program. And if they hold it on site, then you have to go in person. As for deployments, when called to a natural disaster emergency, will my civilian job be secured? And the answer is yes, by law, it's required. What about pay and benefits? As for pay, are U.S. Public Health Service Ready Reserve Corps officers paid for their service? Yes. Reservists are paid at the completion of a unit training assembly, which is commonly referred to as a drill weekend. As for bonuses, is there a sign-on bonus for Ready Reserve Corps officers? Yes. Reservists are eligible for an accession bonus and a critical wartime skills accession bonus. For insurance, what does TRICARE insurance cover for U.S. Public Health Service Ready Reserve Corps officers and their families? TRICARE provides insurance for officers during their drill weekends, 2-week training, and when deployed for 30 days or more. And my understanding is some of the details of that are still being worked through. Regarding rank and how rank is calculated based on the training and experience after obtaining your qualifying degree. So that's the same whether you're active duty or reserve. Loan repayment, are Public Health Service Ready Reserve Corps officers eligible for loan repayment? No, only active duty are eligible for loan repayment. And then retirement, how does the retirement system work and who will address benefits? Officers in the Ready Reserve Corps are placed in a retired status upon completing 20 years of qualifying service for retirement, and that is related to a point system, a year in which an officer of the Ready Reserve Corps has earned a minimum of 50 points. However, such individuals are not eligible for retired pay until they reach age 60. Does the U.S. Public Health Service Commissioned Corps have a sanctuary like other services? Now, this is something I wasn't familiar with at all, though I'd served in the Air Force and the Public Health Service active duty. But yes, they do have a sanctuary. So if a member of the Ready Reserve Corps who has 18 or more years of active service and is called to active duty. The Public Health Service Commission Corps cannot separate them from active duty until the member reaches 20 years of active duty service. So that was something new to me. I hadn't heard of that before. Is there a mandatory retirement age or mandatory years of service? They don't have a specific mandatory retirement age, but will retire a member of the Ready Reserve Corps once the member attains 20 years of service. So that's why there is a age restriction at the beginning, because they don't technically have one at the end of service. It's based on the years of service. So how far can a Ready Reserve Corps officer work past the age of 60 years old? Ready Reserve Corps officers may continue to serve past age 60 if they've not yet reached the 20 years of service that qualify as retirement. Reservists can be involuntarily separated after 20 years, though. When does a retired Ready Reserve officer begin receiving retired pay? They can apply for retired pay once they reach the age of 60. So there you have it. That is the Q&A document for Ready Reserves. And there's a website here, the USPHS.gov/ready-reserve, and you can go there for more information. Feel free to ask me further questions, and I may be able to help you out. Otherwise, if you've reviewed this document and you are interested in serving in the Ready Reserve, also I can put you in contact with people who are currently in charge of the Ready Reserve. All right, I hope you found this helpful, and if you like it, and please share it as well. Bye for now.